At 99 years old, he is still dancing. Not in memory, not on a screen, but here, in the present, moving through a world that has often moved on from him. The man everyone thinks they know and the man who lived the life are profoundly different. Behind the warmth, the laughter, the charm, there was a childhood marked by emotional distance, battles with addiction, and the quiet wreckage of a marriage. Yet despite all of it, he remains, still performing, still bringing joy, still alive, with the energy that shaped an entire generation of audiences. Childhood in Missouri. Dick Van Dyke was born on December 13, 1925, in West Plains, Missouri, a small town offering little to dream about. Life there moved slowly, horizons seemed fixed, and ambition was a foreign language. His father, a charming but restless traveling salesman, was rarely home. His mother quietly held the household together, a presence felt more in its absence than its expression. Dick and his younger brother grew up in a home that was functional, decent, and emotionally sparse. It wasn't cruel, just thin on warmth, praise, or sustained affection. The kind of emotional nourishment a child learns to live without. Finding himself on stage. Even as a boy, Dick understood that performance was survival. Making people laugh closed the distance he felt at home. A well-timed face, a stumble, or a mimicry could change a room's temperature instantly. He wasn't performing for applause, he was performing to exist. His heroes were Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy, whose timing and physical comedy became his study. By age 11, he was already thinking like a craftsman, understanding instinctively that comedy required structure and precision. In a household where being truly seen was rare, the stage became his sanctuary, a place where he could finally exist fully and undeniably. The war years. In 1944, at 18, Dick was drafted into the United States Army Air Forces during World War II. He had dreamed of being a pilot, but physical requirements grounded him. Instead, he served as a radio operator and later as a staff sergeant, entertaining troops across the country. Though far from the front lines, these years were formative. He discovered the transformative power of laughter. That joy in times of fear was essential, not frivolous. Performance became more than craft. It was sustenance. Returning home in 1946, Dick had no money, no connections, and no formal training. But he had an unshakable certainty. He was meant to be in front of an audience. Early career struggles. The late 1940s and early 1950s were years of grinding, unglamorous struggle. Dick tried radio announcing in Atlanta and was quickly let go. He formed a comedy duo called the Merry Mutes, performing in clubs and on Air Force bases to often indifferent audiences. The act was clever, timing precise, but opportunities were scarce, and pay was minimal. City after city, he chased fleeting chances, always arriving just a step too late. Rejection was constant, but quitting was never an option. These years of small stages, near misses, and quiet perseverance would lay the foundation for a career that could survive not just success, but the personal storms that would come later. The cost of joy. Behind the smile that made millions feel comforted, there was a man struggling privately. Addiction threatened to erase his achievements, a marriage of decades ended in loss, and a career built on laughter demanded constant energy. Performing joy for the world came at a high personal cost. Yet Dick continued, understanding that laughter was necessary for survival. For himself as much as for his audience, Every performance was an act of endurance, a daily commitment to show up despite inner turmoil. In these moments, the distinction between personal pain and public joy became clear. One could exist without the other, but only at a price. Rebuilding and rediscovery. Even after immense challenges, Dyke never stopped rebuilding. At 86, he found a new chapter in life, the missing piece that had eluded him for decades. Reinvention was never about fame, it was about completeness. His journey demonstrates that personal fulfillment can arrive late, but its impact can be profound. Every loss, every rejection, every relapse contributed to the man who could still dance, still inspire, still bring warmth to rooms and people. By embracing imperfection, he modeled resilience, showing that a life fully lived isn't defined by uninterrupted success, but by the courage to continue, no matter the setbacks. Lessons in persistence. Dyke Van Dyke's life is a testament to relentless persistence. Joy is not a reward for surviving hardship. It is a daily practice, sometimes exhausting, sometimes imperfect. To make a room warmer, to connect with people, requires commitment without guarantee. Criticism, doubt, or fatigue cannot halt someone devoted to the work of delighting others. At 99, with the Pacific stretching beyond his window, he continues this practice. Every gesture, every smile, every step of dance carries decades of history, of lessons learned the hard way. He demonstrates that the essence of a life well lived is not comfort or ease, but the unyielding pursuit of purpose and joy. Conclusion: a life in motion. The story of Dyke Van Dyke is more than a chronicle of fame or talent. It is the portrait of a life lived fully, sometimes painfully, always with intention. From a quiet Missouri home to the global stage, from private despair to enduring love, he has moved through it all with grace and humor. At 99, he is still dancing, still performing, still bringing warmth simply by being present. In him, we see the power of perseverance, the beauty of imperfection, and the enduring impact of a person who refuses to stop showing up. This is a life that reminds us why the human spirit matters.